Hello, this is Gareth Keane continuing the series of videos on programming in Visual Basic for applications. Today we're going to look at arrays and how arrays can be used in programming in Visual Basic. What is an array? Well, an array is a data structure used to hold a set of related data. The process of creating an array is known as declaring the array. The keyword dim, which is short for dimension, is used to allocate space in memory for the array. And the general format is given as dim, array name, n is the size of the array, and as a data type. So some specific examples will actually show how this works. Dim surname 1 to 5 as string. This sets up an array of strings to store file surnames. And if you remember, string types are used to store text. Dim marks 1 to 20 as integer. This sets up an array of integers to store 20 marks, say, from a test, and integers store whole numbers, and doubles are used to store real numbers of decimal parts. So if you look at an example of a double here, dim stress 1 to 30 as double sets up an array of doubles to store 20 stress values, or actually let's say 30 stress values. So if you look here at a representation of an array, the array is called surname. We have surname 1, surname 2, surname 3, 4 and 5. Each one of these is called an element, and each element can have a value associated with it. We're going to look at some code now which actually populates this array or fills up this array. This here is looking at the array of element 2, and this is the value, say, in element 3. So this is the syntax you use in Visual Basic. You have surname, an open bracket, the subscript telling you which element you're actually referring to, and a closing bracket. So if I then come to look at some code that uses this idea here, that generates an array like this, we have here an array called a little program called subsurnames. I have option explicit on at the top, so that means I have to declare every variable. We have dim I as an integer, that's going to just be for the loop variable down here, and I dim surname 1 to 5 as a string. So basically I have an array of strings called surname with 5 elements in them. I'm going to output the results of these 5 names out onto a message box. The easiest way to do that is to use a string, I'll call it text output. And you can see here I have 5 assignment statements. I used a colon here. If you notice here, you can actually join 2 separate statements together by putting a colon at the end of the first one. And these are effectively 2 separate statements on the same line. So surname 1 is equal to Lynch, and you can see when I assign in a name like this, it has to be in quotation marks. Say I had the name Lynch with a space. As a string, that's different from Lynch without a space, so that's why you need the quotation marks to delimit or indicate the start and the end of the string. Surname 1, so the value Lynch is assigned to surname 1, Murphy into surname 2, Smith into surname 3, O'Connor into surname 4, and Pilkington into surname 5. And you can see, is that in the correct order? It is. You can see that's the same one that's represented here on the page here. So what this code actually does, if I run through it line by line, with the F8 button, it skips down here. The first statement executed is it puts the string Lynch into the first element of the array. Each one of these is called an element of the array, each individual part of the array. Murphy, the name Murphy then gets assigned into the second element of the array, Smith into the third element of the array, O'Connor into the fourth element of the array, and Pilkington into the fifth element of the array. Now I start off by saying with the output what I want to have listed are the 5 names are, and then I'm going to list each of these on a separate line. If you notice here, I used the Visual Basic keyword VB new line, and that means that it should list out the 5 names are, and then on a new line it will put the name Lynch. So for I, the way this is done is using a loop. For I is equal to 1 to 5, text output is equal to text output, and we use the ampersand here, surname I, and a VB new line. So the first time through this loop, I takes the value 1. So what's going to happen here is it takes surname 1, which is the name Lynch, and it adds it on to this statement here. If I go down to the immediate window, I'll expand this out and do Control G, and I print text output. You can see it's printed out. The 5 names are the first heading here, and it's printed out the first name. I then press F8, and now I is around, it's coming around the second time. If I just print out I quickly, print I, doesn't like what I did there, hang on a second. Okay, it doesn't like that. Okay, I won't, I'm not, if I print it here, print I, and you can see I now has the value 2. So if I execute this statement, and then I come up and print the text box again, print text output, you can see now it's printing. The 5 names are Lynch and Murphy. And you can see if I run it the whole way through, I now has the value 3, so it will add this third surname, surname 3, which is Smith, onto that string. Then adds on, I takes the value 4, so it'll add on O'Connor this time. And if I print this again, go to the top, you can see it's added on all 5 of them at this stage. Lynch, Murphy, Smith, O'Connor and Pilkington. So we've gone through, I actually had the value 5 that time, and now I'm going to output this string here that we built up onto a message box. And you can see it prints it out. The 5 names are Lynch, Murphy, Smith, O'Connor, Pilkington, and I press OK to close it. Okay, thanks for listening. I'll cover some more of these short programs here in the next video. Okay, thank you for listening.